Hey, Rich, thank you so much for joining us today. Why don't you tell me a little bit about your business and your neighborhood?
Sure. Thanks, Tina. I really appreciate you doing this. This is a great idea, and I'm really thrilled to be part of it. Um, I'm in Litchfield Hills, Litchfield County, which is the northwestern corner of Connecticut.
Hmm.
So if you know anything about your U.S. Geography, New York, Massachusetts, and Connecticut have kind of a corner that they share. That's
Hmm.
where we are. So it's about hour and a half to 2 hours north of New York City,
Okay.
which means we get a lot of weekenders and part-time people looking for an escape from
Hmm.
the city. Uh, some people say we're the anti-Hamptons. It's very peaceful. It's very quiet. It's not crowded. Uh,
Hmm.
it's definitely still New England. So there's a very much of a, you do your thing, I'll do mine. And, if
Hmm.
we like each other, great. And if we don't, I won't bother you. You don't bother me kind of mentality. There's still a lot of farmers here, a
Hmm.
lot of farming going on. So we have
Wow.
wonderful farmers markets, but it's very culturally diverse and very cultural. There's a lot of art galleries. My
Hmm.
office is in the town of Washington, Connecticut. And Washington is a very unique little town. It's population, year-round population of about 4,000. In the
Hmm.
summer, it probably doubles or more. And Washington was the model for the town of Stars Hollow in the Gilmore Girls. Did you ever watch that show?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hmm.
The woman who created that show came to Washington for a weekend at an inn and fell in love with it and started spending time here and then modeled the Stars Hollow after Washington. It's
Hmm.
this like uber cute town with a lot of culture and art galleries, but a lot of local stuff going on, and everybody's very friendly and very nice, and it's amazing. But it really is like that.
Yeah.
The whole county is not necessarily like that, but there are a
Hmm.
lot of small towns that are similar to it, and there's still the first selectman, which is the mayor. Before he got elected, he was the butcher in the local supermarket,
Oh my
and it's a
gosh.
lot of locals. Everyone, the town and gown community kind of mixes very well. There's a lot of private schools, so there's people who come here to have a house near their kids while their kids are in school, as well as all the weekenders. It's really just it's paradise. It's kind of like an open secret how nice it is here and how great it is. People who come
Hmm.
here are always just blown away by it. I just spent Saturday showing uh, rentals to a couple who have a friend here and they fell in love with it and they think, okay, maybe we could move here too. So they
Hmm.
want a lot of people will start with a rental, a short-term rental or a summer rental, and then they'll go into a long-term rental, and then they'll buy, or they'll just jump
Hmm.
and buy. So it's just a really beautiful area.
Yeah, well, I'm admiring this house you have up. Is this a typical house for Washington, Connecticut?
It's not atypical. I mean, we have the
Mhm.
gamut. We have big estates. There's one, if we get to it, that sold last year for $8 million. It was a big 100-acre estate built by an industrialist from Canada recently. It's a modern, a contemporary house that was just bought by Milos Raonic, who was one of the top-rated tennis players in the world, because it
Mhm.
had a tennis court and a tennis house. But this is very common. This is what a lot of people want. We have buyer wish lists, and more often than not, people want an antique house with
Mhm.
a view, maybe with a pool, or at least a place they can put a pool in, and some land, and this house, or and views if they can get views. This house needed updating. This house was actually, this is interesting because there's a road right near this house called Magat Road. The last of the Magats. This is from the 18th century. The
Wow.
last family member of that family was the seller of this house.
My
It's like
gosh.
5 or 6 generations back. And I represented a couple from New York, young
Hmm.
couple, wanted a place in the country. They're actually thinking of doing a little bit of gentleman farming. They want to have goats. And this property was kind of perfect for them. The house needed some updating,
Hmm.
but it was on, I think it was on 7 acres. Or no, I'm sorry, it was 15 acres.
Hmm.
Had beautiful views. I'll scroll through it, and we
Yeah,
can
please
see
do.
some of that. Um,
I love the well in the front.
yeah, the cute little well. Yeah, we have that's not uncommon actually. So yeah, this is looking from up the hill behind the house. This is actually the road here.
Mhm.
Uh, um,
Wow.
it's gorgeous. Had this really interesting. This is a little guest house, a little studio, really,
Mhm.
which has heat, a fireplace, and power, so it could be used as a little guest house. Needed some updating. This
Mhm.
was just a little. The family was saying this was like the weaving shed. Some ancestor
Oh.
used this as a place to weave,
Uh-huh.
and the woman of the couple is a potter. She wants to turn this into a little pottery studio.
Mhm.
Um, but great views. This was just a fenced in or a stone walled in little area. We're not sure if it was a foundation of a barn once. Um,
Mhm.
they were thinking maybe they put a pool in there, but I mean, beautiful. This is western, looking west, by the way. So you
Mhm.
get sunsets from
I
this.
love those mountains.
Yeah. Well, this area is known as the foothills of the Berkshires. So the Berkshire
Okay.
Mountains are western Massachusetts, coming down
Mhm.
a little bit into northern Litchfield County, and we're in central southern Litchfield County here. So they call it the foothills of the Berkshires.
Mm.
Kind of classic, old New England
Yeah.
farmhouse house with this old, this is, I forget, this is 1812, I believe, early 1800s, this house.
Mhm.
You see a lot of these old hearths. This was originally the kitchen of the house. So there's a beehive oven in here. If you open that door, it's shaped like a beehive, and that's where they
Mhm.
would bake the bread and do the cooking. And you still have the original iron uh, thing for holding the pots over the fire. And I've sold a bunch of houses like this, from the
Wow.
1700s and 1800s. It's,
Now, are you
people.
originally from this area?
Uh, I'm from not too far away. I grew up in
Mhm.
northern Westchester, which is
Mhm.
north of New York City, a little town called Peekskill, right on the Hudson River. So yes, the kitchen needs some updating. Um, it wasn't too dissimilar to this area, and there's a lot of old houses there too. I grew up in a classic, suburban subdivision, um, and there's a few of those here as well. Not too many. It's a little too far for people to commute down to the city, but there's plenty of local folks here who work around here. There's hospitals and, regular civilization. My favorite line when people come here, especially, we had a big rush during the pandemic. Folks were coming here from the city to get away, and they wanted to know, do you have high speed internet? And my joke was, we have high speed internet, we have running water, we have electricity,
We've got it
we have
all.
it all. We really do. So oh, this is inside the studio. Yeah. I love
Wow.
the old door.
My gosh.
It's pretty cool. Oh, yeah, we did
Like
a little
taking a step back in time.
Yeah, yes. So they're updating it. They've been renovating the house.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, this is the view. So yeah, this is looking back at the house. So you can get a sense of the countryside too.
Yeah, you
It's
really
just
do.
gorgeous here. It's really pretty. We'll just go out for a ride sometime, just to decompress, just take a 20-minute car ride or bike ride
Into the
and go
country.
back to work. It's really, really lovely.
So you said your customer base is coming a lot from, the New York City area. And they're a lot of second home
A
buyers?
lot of second home buyers,
Mhm.
a lot of people who were second home buyers. This has been a second home area for the city for 100 years. It's
Wow,
not something that's a
that
new
makes sense.
phenomenon.
Hmm.
So what we've also seen, I have friends who are now in their 70s and 80s who
Hmm.
bought here and then retired, kept their place in the city, but not all of them. Some of them have given up their place in the city, and then there's some who have a place down your way in Florida for the winter, and they'll close
Hmm.
up shop here in the summer for the winter, come back in the spring, and just spend the summer here because it's
Yeah,
absolute heaven here in the summer.
I
Um,
bet.
there's
Now,
there's galleries, there's kayaking, tons and tons of
oh,
hiking, lots of stuff to
and you
do.
said farmers markets. Amazing.
Lots of farmers markets, really wonderful farmers markets.
So
Uh,
in your area, is it mostly single family homes or do you have condos or any communities going in with with more like amenities, that type of thing?
it's mostly single family homes. There are
Hmm.
a few condos.
Hmm.
Actually, very close to this house, there's a small townhouse condo development. I
Hmm.
think there's 28 units or something like that.
Hmm.
Um, the biggest condo development in the area might have 40 or 50.
Okay.
Not a lot of condos, and we need them.
Hmm.
We need, what I'm also seeing again with some of my older clients who they don't want to have to take care of the house is getting to be too much for them. They would love to have condos, and there aren't many. It's when they come up for sale,
They have to go outside the area.
and rentals are also really tough for the same reason. There's not a lot of congregate or cluster housing.
Yeah.
It's a little bit tough because there's most of the properties that we sell are serviced by septic and well on the property. So if somebody was to plan a cluster community with condo with a lot of communal utilities, there has to be a good piece of land that can service that, because they have to put in their own excuse me, their own community septic. There's no sewers. There is community water closer to the center of town in most of the towns, but until you get to some of the cities, which are not too far away, but they're still not the same, you don't really have that.
So let's talk about price points here. So since it is mostly single family, and this house, what did you say this was? This is on quite a bit of acreage.
This is on 15 acres, and it's sold for 1.2, 1,200,000. Needed updating, as you could see. So that was a fair price for that. Let me just quickly, if I can find it. This is one that's This is one that's on the market now. In my office. This is more of a contemporary. And I think
the pool.
It's got a pool. It's got a view.
Fenced in back, yeah.
It's got some acreage. And this is on for two and change, 2.25, I believe. I think it's 7 or 8 acres.
Plus summertime pictures, which makes a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this is, nice modern house. This price point has gotten a little bit soft here recently. Up until last spring, everything was moving. Over 2 lately has gotten a little slower, but it's still selling. So it's a very nice house.
Yeah, it is.
Beautiful piece of property. It's in a great location. It backs up. You can't really see it here, but it abuts a preserve. I won't call it a nature preserve. It's just a land trust, which has about 30 miles of hiking trails. So it's really, really a lovely area. It's really pretty. And it's maybe 3 minutes to downtown Washington, such as that is. This is the one. This is the real area. Yeah, this went for $8 million a year ago.
Okay. And so this was even a bigger estate.
This is a big estate. This is 100 acres. It's a big house, 12,000 square foot house.
Wow.
It's got a tennis court. It's got an indoor-outdoor pool. Those windows open, so the pool can be open to the outside. That's a folly that you hike up to that and you look at the view. It's just a little kind of a Greek,
that's so pretty.
Kind of a thing. It's got an indoor racquetball court. It's got a tennis house. It sleeps a few people. It's got a grass roof. It's also got a guest house. So pretty special property.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, there's your racquetball court.
So you talked a little bit about Washington. You had a website, right? That all about Washington.
More Washington.
Yeah.
That's great. It talks about the small town life with the rich and vibrant cultural scene, etc. 2-hour drive from New York.
Which is incredible.
It's just lovely. Let's see. This gives you an idea where things are. So. So here's the state line to Massachusetts. Here's the state line to New York.
Okay.
And if you go this way, there's New York City.
So you would fly into New Haven?
No, you fly into Hartford.
Okay.
Or you fly into New York.
Okay.
Into LaGuardia or JFK. LaGuardia and JFK is a little further, about an hour and a half. And Hartford is maybe slightly less. Hartford's a much easier airport, but you just, they have direct flights, I think, from West Palm Beach, from Florida, but you don't get direct flights everywhere to Hartford. But you can fly in. It's not too inconvenient. There's a train line right over the line in New York, right here, going down to New York City. So a lot of people who want to be able to take the train, there is a train that comes up here, but to Danbury, but it's a pain to get to. You have to change trains. It's not a good schedule. So most people who want to train it will look for a house in this area here, which is Kent, or a little further up, which is Sharon, Connecticut. These are both really also lovely, lovely towns with a lot of art and good restaurants and all kinds of stuff to do because they're closer to the train line. But plenty of people will come over here and drive down to Danbury to the train or to Brewster, which is right over here.
Great.
So it's pretty convenient.
And your office is in Washington.
The office is in
It's
Washington.
William Pitt Sotheby's.
William Pitt Sotheby's, yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, we're part of the whole Sotheby's network. Love the company. It's great.
Mhm.
I'm sure you know it too. It's a really
Definitely.
great brand is unimpeachable. I don't have to sell the brand. And we do all price points. I mean, I've been showing you high-end houses, but I sell all over the the board in terms of price points. So, got the $1 million and the multi-million dollars, and then I've got, the 6-figure ones and sometimes a little in the lower numbers.
Yeah.
We service all the clients because what are they? I don't know if you've heard this point, but they tell us luxury is not a price point. It's
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Especially when you're in one of the most picturesque places, I would say, in the country. My goodness. Wow.
Yeah. So this is all just this is the Gun Historical Museum. So there's a school called the Frederick Gun School. He was a revolutionary educator, not Revolutionary War, but he was just very ahead of his time. About 100 years ago, he started this school in Washington it was called the Gunnery, and they changed it to the Frederick Gun School. It's a very well regarded private school. And there's a museum and the library next door. The town has a really interesting history. I mean, George Washington really did sleep here. There's a private house now, which was a tavern at the time, and he and his troops were there. They were coming through the area. That's where he was when he found out about Benedict Arnold.
Oh my gosh.
Betraying him. And there's all kinds of local stories about that. It's really kind of interesting.
Yeah.
So what else can I tell you?
Well, I think that's great. You gave a good overview of the area, and I really thank you for coming on, and thank you for this information. It's so different from Naples. Now I want to look at antique houses all afternoon.
Yeah, good. I appreciate it. I really do appreciate you doing this. This is such a great idea, and I'm looking forward to seeing the final product. And I'll send you the link I'll send you an invitation, today for our next one. I think it's the 19th.
Okay, that sounds great.
We do them at 4:00. We usually do them on a Thursday. Yeah, the 19th at 4:00.
Okay, that sounds great.
It'd be fun to have you.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate it, Rich. Thank you so much. And
thank you.